Good afternoon, investors. Mr. Duck Investor from the Duck Corporation, the most powerful, rich, and productive corporation on earth. I'm sure you've had a lot of other things you have to do today, so let me be brief. Thank you for your time. Um, let's begin with how do we find a better way to get people to learn vocabulary? Well, obviously, by putting a vocabulary learning app in this phone. So, today I'd like to show you the process we went through from research and observation all the way up to prototyping and adapting our prototype for a vocabulary learning app. The app is called Elephants. Vocab you'll never forget. It's clever because elephants have good memories. Now the first thing that we did was observe, research, and define our problem. We did that by doing a competitor analysis with 3 other similar apps. Each of these 3 apps teaches vocabulary in a different way. One lets you create flashcards, another one has a series of progress tracking games, and another is linked to dictionaries and other learning tools. So we looked at those, saw the upsides, the downsides, and then we tried to match that with the user personas which we developed next. So after interviewing 3 people, we developed a general user persona based on what we could understand and also layered it on top of what we knew about the apps. So in our case, to read a couple of quotes, as an architecture student, I want to be more capable with architecture terminology in English so I can comfortably interact with architects and firms where the primary language is English. That's an example of a very specific set of terminology someone would like to learn in vocabulary. Also, for the method of learning, when I am learning a new word, I want to demonstrate my knowledge by reciting it so I can be reinforced if I'm right or corrected if I'm wrong. Based on this persona, we see that the user wants an interactive process, but also a process that's subject specific. So, based on this analysis, we came to the following conclusions. We figured out that our user needs a way of learning vocabulary in 2 different but very specific areas. Our persona wanted to learn Spanish and learn architecture. This is our problem statement. We believe that by creating an app with customizable interactive tools like pronunciation coach and adjustable example sentences, we will ensure Aline becomes confidently conversational in Spanish and proficient in English architecture terminology. A little bit about our user. Aline is German. She's an architecture student with conversational capabilities in Spanish. In these 2 areas she'd like to improve, and based on what we know about her, we're developing tools to make that happen. Very generally, as we ideated our concepts, put them into constraints which we could easily understand, we decided to go in the direction of a chat feature, which was interactive and allowed users to feed off of each other's created decks. Another feature we have, deck creation, personal flashcard creation, and then not only can they create them, but share with each other. We made prototypes, all the standard things you would expect, a main menu, a sign-in area, home bar, front, back, all that sort of stuff. We built a wireframe, plugged it in using Prot. The Prot application let us test our particular model with more users in our usability test. So in our usability test, we tried to design tasks that fit what we built to make sense with what we were trying to improve on. So, sign up for the app, make a vocabulary deck, return to main menu, send a message to a friend, and study a vocabulary word. Now, as we tested for usability, we found a lot of interesting things. First and foremost, we realized that our users did not always recognize the icons that we created for the function that we meant them to be used for. There were a couple tweaks in the menu. Some thought that the select a language feature should come later, and some thought it should come before, but the overwhelming majority wanted it at the beginning of the process. So that is a piece of concrete information that we will be changing based on their feedback. Additionally, we will have our app tour have slightly more elaborate descriptions. We will have a icon key, so that way the navigation is more clear and more concise. And we'll also have the download deck feature in the deck creation section of our menu, not in our study feature. Most people were looking for it in deck creation even though we had put it under study. Knowing this improves how we can generally make the app function and make it more intuitive. As for chat, there were some messaging icons that had to be changed so that it was more clear that it was a chat and not an email in the minds of some of our users. From that, we actually added new screens entirely that accommodated these requests, Mr. Duck. And then we applied that in our prop model. So, looking back, what are some of the general things we have learned from this wonderful experience from beginning to end? Major takeaways. Good design is egoless. It's not about one's amazing ideas, but what they can observe and what things they prioritize, and then how they implement those priorities in a structure of a given app. Also important, sometimes your solution is to define a new problem. As Henry Ford said, if they asked me to fix the problems of yesteryear, they would have asked me to make faster horses. But he invented the assembly line for cars. So sometimes you got to think a little differently. And then, most important maybe, design by doing. No matter how much prep you do, in the end, you have to just get in there and just do it yourself before you can find all the errors. On that note, thank you for your time, Mr. Duck. I wish you a fantastic rest of your day, and I look forward to creating new iterations of this app for you so the Duck Corporation continue to thrive and make wonderful digital products in the 21st century.